What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Ravens Media. And in today's live stream, Joshua and I are going to be talking about the Ravens injury kind of updates, the benefits and the negatives. So the great news, Nick Boyle has been designated to return from IR, came back to practice today. And then the negative news, which is that Ronnie Stanley is out for the year. And as always, if you guys have any other questions and things like that you want to ask, make sure to comment them in the live stream as well. But Joshua, let's start with the good news. Let's talk about some Nick Boyle for a second. What is Nick Boyle coming back? And I don't think he'll play this week, but since there's the bye next week, I fully expect him to be back right after the bye. What does this do for this team?
It definitely gives, what we missed week one, a true blocking style tight end, someone that's real nasty, really other than Patrick Ricard, but shout out to the weapon, because the weapon was out there blocking, his tail off too. But you get that savvy vet, someone that can give Mark Andrews a reliever, knows he's not a catching tight end like Mark Andrews, but he still can make things happen in the passing game, and he's very beneficial to the run game. He seals that outside. He definitely helps on that. So, it's definitely good to have, a savvy vet back on the field.
Yeah, and Nick Boyle is arguably the best run blocking tight end in the NFL. I think it's between him and George Kittle are the top two. And Nick Boyle, you brought it up. He's not a pass catching tight end, but he's got sure hands. The Ravens actually really like to use him in the passing game because he is on typically the routes that they've been having to throw Patrick Ricard on. Yep. The routes where they throw him into the flats and it's the last check down. Now, I like Patrick Ricard. I don't trust his hands at all. But I see Chris Reed, how are you doing? He asks, not Ravens related, totally fine. Says Deshaun Watson to the Dolphins and Tua being traded. How are you feeling about that? Yeah, so there was a 3-way trade rumor that's come out. Tua, I believe, would be going to the Washington football team is what's being discussed. And Deshaun Watson would be going to the Dolphins. What do you think about that, Joshua? Does that help? Does that help the football team? Does that help Watson, finally get some playing time? I mean, he's getting away from David Culley. So
honestly, I feel like we'll both be an upgrade to both teams. I mean, yes, Tua's had some struggles like crazy, but when Tua's on, Tua is on. I mean, and the funny thing is, Tua and his little brother are the same way. Because, look, they was undefeated in Maryland. Maryland was undefeated. Then they went to Iowa. Iowa laid it on the thick. But that passing game, that run game, that offense, period, is a high-powered offense. And, with Tua behind a good offense, they got a lot of young weapons. I think me and you both talked about it. They're a quarterback away and maybe another defensive player away from starting to actually be in the playoffs. Now, do I think he's better than Taylor or Taylor Heineke?
Oh gosh,
yeah.
I think it's Taylor. It's Taylor. I just always say Heineke. I totally forgot he even had a first name.
I mean, of course, people will say he's better. Heineke has won the organization over, the team over, and I feel like it is his job to lose. I don't feel like Tua's going to automatically start, but I definitely feel like there's going to be a battle in Washington. It's going to be healthy. It's going to be good. But Deshaun Watson just coming back to the league, period. That's a big boost. That's a major talk. He now gets back into that conversation with Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson. Unfortunately, Russell Wilson is hurt, but those type of guys that make those exciting plays, that makes things more lively. And then he'll have a wide receiver like Jalen Waddle. I'm looking forward to seeing that combination.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Deshaun Watson. If he went to Miami, I feel like it would be just so much better than the shenanigans that have been going on with Houston, ever since he's been there. They told him, oh yeah, let's give him this big contract and then we'll trade away everybody that you have and basically get screwed out of everything. We're not going to have any draft picks. We're not going to be able to sign anybody. We're going to have a terrible head coach. And it just kind of spiraled for him. And then obviously the off the field issues that have been going on with him. And we don't know, I don't think the NFL has suspended him or anything like that. I think the team is just not playing him just because they don't really want to get into that sort of thing. But I feel like Miami, anytime that you can bring a superstar young player back into the NFL, like that's going to boost a lot of things.
Yeah.
The NFL has been yes, we have some great quarterbacks. We got Lamar, we got Kyler, we got Josh Allen, we got Patrick Mahomes. There's some great quarterbacks to watch. Tons of fun. Herbert as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Deshaun Watson up. I would say in that list, the most entertaining is Lamar. I have Deshaun Watson as the second most entertaining quarterback to watch in the NFL. I love watching him play. He's got a great arm, and he's a pure playmaker, and he doesn't make nearly as much of the mistakes that guys like Patrick Mahomes do. He's just a great competitor, has a great will to win, and him actually getting a competent team with some competent coach and actually a relatively decent defense, I'm okay with it. So, and then Washington, I've actually got, it's kind of blasphemous, but I've got a Washington football team hat right there. So if Tua ended up going there, I like the football team. I like Ron Rivera. I'm a big fan of Terry McLaurin. So if Tua ended up going there, I would root for the football team with him. I'd love Chase Young as well. But
I got to get a Chase Young jersey. I mean, he's a Merlin guy. He's a Merlin guy, period. So, love what he do, man. He's a freaking nature.
Yep. And then Jones in Altitude says Nick Boyle is the straw that stirs the drink. Absolutely. I think everybody's talking about, all the national media when they talk about Lamar Jackson MVP, talk about the Ravens team. They're like, look at all the guys that they've lost. Marcus Peters, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Ronnie Stanley. Nobody brings up he hasn't played with Nick Boyle. And that is massive. I mean, that is the guy that does the dirty work. No disrespect to Eric Tomlinson, but I do not want to see him out on the field. I just don't think that he does the job nearly to the level.
At this point.
Yeah, and he can't even really, like, it's not like he's providing some great ability in the pass catching game, right? Like if he was giving something that like Nick Boyle didn't give, it would be okay, but he doesn't do anything better than Nick Boyle. And so Nick Boyle being able to come back, I think will boost this rushing attack, which in turn will help the passing attack even more, because the more defenses have to focus in on this rushing attack, they are going to have to figure out how to stop this passing attack with more defenders in the box, which is going to be almost impossible. But, we've talked a little about Nick Boyle. Ronnie Stanley, though, the season-ending injury, obviously, I think it's kind of crazy the amount of Ravens fans that are getting mad at Ronnie Stanley. Like, they're like, oh, wow, we paid him all this money and he can't even play. Guys, it's not like he doesn't want to play football. Unfortunately, he got injured and something, they can't figure out what went wrong with the surgery, but he's just not in playing shape. They're going to have to go back in and, look at that. I believe it's an ankle injury is what it is, or lower leg injury. And they're going to have to really look at that and figure out, okay, what's going on? Because, it sucks when these types of things happen, but it's not something that you can blame Ronnie Stanley for. He wants to be out there. He wants to be playing football. He wants to be blocking for Lamar Jackson. But I loved what Lamar Jackson said. He said, it's all good, though. We got Big Al. And I thought that was great. But are you confident with Alejandro Villanueva for the rest of the year at left tackle?
I'm 50-50. I'm 50-50. For the simple fact, we've seen what he can do on the right side and the left side. Yeah, he can hold himself up, but there's going to be times where he gets beat. We definitely seen for the past 6 weeks, just about all the pressure has been coming out on the outside. Bradley Bozeman gave up that one play by Joseph this past week. Joseph he's a 12, 13-year vet. He just hit him with a good swim move after he hiked the ball and went after him. I mean, those things, unfortunately, sometimes those do happen. But, Bradley Bozeman has, I believe, one of the highest pass blocking percentages in the league right now. So he's definitely up there. So I'm kind of definitely 50-50 with Alejandro right now, just because, his inconsistency of play. I wish Ronnie was out here. At one point, I was like the rest of the fans. Sometimes when we pay the guys the big money, they don't always continue to produce. Tyus Bauer, Tyus, he's been having a quiet year. have we gave Marlon Humphrey an extension already, correct?
Yes, Marlon has been extended. I believe it was before last season.
All right, now since we didn't give him an extension, I'm not going to say he's not playing at top cornerbacks play, but he's getting beat on a lot of plays because he's playing the wide receiver more and not playing the ball. He's getting worked. He's getting worked like crazy. Unfortunately, Ronnie Stanley, his durability after you get surgeries, you come back from an injury, your durability becomes questionable. Sometimes you question yourself because you want to be back to that regular player. And honestly, I feel like they've been knew it was a season-ended injury. I do feel like everyone wanted to try to work together and see what they can do to get them back to playing time, getting back to playing this season, which is understandable. But with the timetable and everything going on, I feel like they made the right decision to just shut it down altogether and really figure out what's going on. Because at the end of the day, some of these surgeons do make mistakes. they don't want to admit it. I mean, hell, that happened with Joe. I want to say either Dennis or Joe Flacco. And they both had like the hip surgery, something like that. So these freaking things happen. That's what comes with football. So I mean, I definitely hope he get the right surgeon. They figure out what really went wrong, and he comes back stronger next year because we definitely going to need him. But the show must go on. We 5-1. Let's keep on rolling.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are looking at the Stanley injury, and it's a bit concerning just for next year, just because the Ravens have so much uncertainty at the tackle positions. Like, will he be ready to go next year? And then also Villanueva, I believe the Ravens have an out after this year. Are they going to keep him on? Are they going to be like, okay, you played this whole year at left tackle, switch to right tackle now? Are they going to look at Patrick McCarry? Are they going to look into drafting guys? Because, I mean, what are the chances that the Ravens look at drafting a tackle, or drafting multiple tackles in this upcoming draft? Because I know it's a position of need. And so, that's the type of thing where it's obviously the goal is for Ronnie Stanley to be able to come back next year, but I think the Ravens have to look at it like, you know what? Just in case, the Ravens do need to have some backup plans, some contingency plans, because this year the Ravens didn't have that. The Ravens were very unprepared for the offensive tackle situation that happened this year. And the whole team was devastated with injuries, but they came into the year with 3 guys. And Juwan James, I see people talking about he should be ready next year. Yeah. But also the Ravens legend, Brandon Knight, the offensive tackle / guard from the Cowboys that they signed, didn't report. He was just like, yeah, I know you claimed me, but no. So there went that. Luckily, James Carpenter, I believe he actually signed with the Ravens to the practice squad rather than it being a claim. So he's fully on board. So hopefully he's able to get in. And Sancho Max says that should be at least one offensive tackle drafted in the first 3 Ravens picks. I completely agree. I think they should draft at least 2 tackles in this upcoming draft. They got 10 picks. One of them should be an early tackle. And then I'm thinking a round 4, round 5 tackle when the Ravens have a ton of picks. Go after a guy. Because you can get, an Orlando Brown level player that slips in the draft.
Definitely a swing man for sure, because honestly, the way I'm looking at next year's offensive line, Ronnie Stanley, Ben Cleveland, Bradley Bozeman, Tyree Phillips, and it has to be a first round pick in my opinion. It has to be a first round pick in my opinion. You got to solidify that right tackle side.
Yeah, and I think that this upcoming draft, it's going to be really interesting seeing where the Ravens are drafting and what they do. I feel like there could be a chance where the Ravens see a need to trade up in this upcoming draft and be like, hey, there is a great offensive tackle. And you know what? I'm actually going to pull up Tankathon right now just to see where offensive tackles are falling in the current. And if anybody doesn't know what Tankathon is a conglomerate that looks at what all the experts are saying and they average out where everybody's going. And then they show then they just put in the things. So whether or not the team fit makes sense on Tankathon, that's not what I'm looking at. I'm just looking at where people have them going. So the first offensive tackle, Evan Neal out of Alabama, going number 3.
Mm-hmm. He's a left
Ravens
tackle.
Ravens aren't trading up for number 3. But the next one, Darian Kinnard, is looking at number 20. 20th overall pick. Says going to the Steelers, but that doesn't matter. The teams will completely be changing. But then 3. Wow, this is good news. There's 3 offensive tackles in the last 4 picks that are mocked on Tankathon. So Ravens, if they're sitting at the back of the draft, there could very well be some very good offensive tackles. One from Mississippi State, one from Northern Iowa, one from Washington. And I will say, if you guys did not know, the success rate on linemen, offensive and defensive, is by far better from the Big Ten and the SEC than any other conference. It's the only position. Like, where just like the bust potential for a school from like one of the guys from Washington, like, no offense, I mean, there can be good Pac-12 offensive linemen. It's happened plenty of times, but I don't know if I'm be like, oh yeah, I got to take this Pac-12 offensive lineman just because the SEC guys and the Big Ten guys, you look at the offensive lines, where are the Ravens guys from? You look at, I want to say Kevin Zeitler went to Wisconsin. Bradley Bozeman went to Alabama. Villanueva, oh no, he didn't go to the Big Ten or the SEC. You know where he went? Army. I'll take an Army tackle, okay? Like, that's okay. So, and then Ben Powers, Ben Cleveland, you could say. Georgia. Ben Powers went to Oklahoma, but Ben Bredeson, Michigan, who the Ravens ended up trading, but to the Giants. So overall, like, and then Patrick McCarry, I don't know where Patrick McCarry went, honestly, but Tyree Phillips, Mississippi State, I believe. So the Ravens like the big school guys, and there is a big school guy that could very well be available when the Ravens are drafting. And so I think a first-round tackle is very likely unless a stud cornerback or linebacker happen to fall to them.
Yeah, most definitely. And let's not forget, a lot of guys been transferring to the little schools and HBCUs that came from the big name schools too. So, I mean, hell, Jackson State is doing the damn thing. Between their offensive linemen and matter of fact, I don't know who they play. Watch out for number 41, McConnell, at Jackson State. He played out. He went to the University of Florida. And he's playing his grad year at Jackson State, and he's solid. I mean, he's solid. He runs down the plays from the back, and he knows how to solidify the outside containment and everything. He knows how to get up the field.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what the Ravens need.
Yeah.
And I see Kevin Lopez is in here. Joshua, what are your thoughts if you heard about the Bengals linebacker? What's his name? Logan Wilson, I want to say is his name. Came out, said Lamar is a running back that plays the quarterback position. Did you see that? Did you have any thoughts on that?
I heard a little bit about it. I mean, listen, this the narrative since he done got into the league, and honestly, he's not that deep to me no more. He's changed the narrative. He showed he can throw the ball. He showed he can get out the pocket. I mean, Lamar Jackson's an athlete. Get over it. Y'all just can't keep up with him. Y'all don't know how to sit down and make a sound fundamental tackle. So I'm not mad. I take that. Me and Lamar, I think we take that as compliments. Y'all know what he can do with his feet, but y'all are seeing in these past 6 games what he's doing with his arm though. So I feel like with this being the AFC North showdown, it's gonna be another statement game.
Yeah, I feel like this upcoming game against the Bengals is going to be a very interesting one to see how the Ravens play, because I think that it's going to be a test, and I think a lot of Ravens fans are underlooking it. The Bengals have great weapons. Jamar Chase is going to be a problem. Tyler Boyd is still a solid wide receiver. Higgins, very good number 2 wide receiver. And so will the Ravens be able to cover them and stop Joe Mixon? Because our linebacking core has not been able to tackle very well. So how will the Ravens defense be able to perform against a team like the Bengals where they have so many weapons, even though the offensive line is not amazing? It's not a terrible offensive line. I think that's the most underrated part of this Bengals team is that offensive line. It's solid. Then I see W84 says 6-1 Bengals are still the Bengals. Yeah, but the Bengals Tyler Boyd made the Ravens not go to the playoffs.
Yeah.
This, like, just because they're the Bengals doesn't mean they still can't beat the Ravens, because they have beaten the Ravens in important games before. Like, this is not a game to look past. Now, is there a chance that the Ravens come out and they dominate like they dominated the Chargers? Yes, there's a chance for that. There's also a chance that the Bengals come out hot and the Ravens are struggling and they're gathering because they came out flat-footed and they got to come back. Got to make sure that you come out and play them strong and make sure that you cover and tackle. And there's a lot of key matchups to watch, upcoming in this game.
You know what? I think Rue 84 said the smartest thing. Josh Bynes helped our linebacker run. And honestly, don't be surprised if we start this Sunday.
Over Malik Harrison, do you think?
No, over Patrick Queen.
Okay, so you're leaving Malik out there.
Yeah, man. It's nothing against Patrick Queen. These guys still have to learn. And it's showing that they're pretty much trying to fend for themselves. It's like okay. When you start a job, you go through the onboarding process. And then once you go through the onboarding process to learn about the company, you do the orientation, you find out about your benefits, your pay, then you're supposed to go through training. But some jobs, instead of actually training you properly, they just throw you up there in the fire. Hey man, figure it out, get it, And then when mistakes start happening, who are they blaming on? You. No one's taking initiative. No one's taking initiative and say, hey, yeah, we got Ryan as a linebacking coach, but we don't really have a linebacking coach on the field with our young guns. We don't have nobody that they haven't took the initiative to call someone up to say, hey man, listen, I got two guys that are powerful, they're fierce, and they got that dog mentality, and they can be Pro Bowlers for years to come. I need you to come help these guys personally in the offseason. No, I mean, hell, we had one of the best linebackers in the NFL. And no one has said, hey, Ray, during your schedule, you think you can come up here and talk to PQ, show him the ropes, maybe, have him spend the offseason with you or something like that? Hey, Ed Reed, you think you can take that secondary and talk to these guys and get them right? Nothing like that has happened. It's like, it's crazy. So now you have to rely on a guy that's a journeyman in Josh Bynes and a special teams linebacker and Boyd, because these guys are just relying on their natural ability.
Yeah. And this is a great comment by Chris Reed. It says, I'd like to see Chuck Clark in the box more. I think he has great aim strengths and we would thrive there. What y'all think? To add into Chuck Clark playing in the box a little bit more, we now have some guys that are healthy enough to step back there. Deshaun Elliott slide over to strong safety. Brandon Stevens, who's been playing free safety in the absence of Deshaun Elliott, and I thought he was playing fine.
Yeah.
Could slide back to free safety, get Chuck in the box. Third down situations, we could get Chuck Clark and Josh Bynes in the middle. Okay? Both guys that I am comfortable with in coverage, rather than Patrick Queen and Malik Harrison, which the Ravens have been trying to do, and it isn't working. That could be a very good passing situation defense. Brandon Stevens, Deshaun Elliott in the back, and then Chuck Clark and Josh Bynes in the front. And yeah, it sucks not being able to have those guys out there. I think a lot of people, when people have draft picks, every first round draft pick especially, but every draft pick overall, you always want that guy to be, you draft a guy in the 7th round, the 6th round, you're like, I want him to be Tom Brady. Draft a wide receiver in the 5th round, he's the next AB. That's what everybody labels these guys as. We talk about Tylan Wallace. Oh, he's a wide receiver 1. And yes, that's what we want them to become. But it's okay if they don't become the ultimate maximum. If Tylan Wallace comes into the NFL and he's a really solid gunner for the Ravens, that's a good pick. If Patrick Queen comes into the Ravens and he's a good first and second down linebacker, that's okay. Now, I would love for him to be Ray Lewis. I would love for him to even be a CJ Mosley. But if he can't do that at this point in his career and the Ravens have to put other guys out there, that's okay. It's the Ravens being able to recognize what the skill sets are and being able to maximize them. And so I'm really hoping that the Ravens go out and they do utilize Chuck Clark in the box a lot, get Brandon Stevens in the back, get Deshaun Elliott in the back. And if Brandon Stevens is playing poorly, throw Ardarius out there. I know Jimmy Smith is lined up in some plays in the safety spot. Get him out there for some passing situations. Like passing situation defense honestly shouldn't have Patrick Queen or Malik Harrison out on the field because they just struggle so often.
Yeah. Because that post to the end zone to Jared Cook, it was like he was there, but then he wasn't there. And Justin Herbert put it on the money. He put it on the money. I give it to him. I feel like if Malik was like, if he would have draped him, maybe swatted it, good play. But they definitely got some work. They definitely have some more work to do. In their development as becoming Pro Bowl perennial linebacker, especially for the Ravens. Man, we pride ourselves on defense, and especially that middle. And right now, y'all not living up to the hype right now. So I definitely believe Chuck Clark bring it. I think I've been saying this actually. Either bring Deshaun Elliott or Chuck Clark down the box, move the guys, move either Jimmy or Tavon Young to keep because of the durability. I think I've been saying this for a while now.
Oh yeah, you've been on that train.
Because Chuck Clark is more like a Shaq Thompson to me. He made the adjustment, and look at him now. Him and I think Shaq played with Luke Kuechly as well before he retired. And that was a fast-moving linebacking core. It could be the same way if Chuck Clark makes the move. Oh, hell, even get Adam Levine in there a little bit. Who knows? You got to switch some things up. You got to do some experimenting. I mean, it's week 7. It's about to the rest of the schedule about to get real thick, and we gotta figure out what pieces really work. We got over 17 people on IR. We got a couple million people going to be coming back later in the season to help us out. But still, we gotta figure out and make some pieces together and see what's really going to get us down the stretch and really going to get us to the Super Bowl. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, the Ravens need to make some adjustments, and I'm very excited that the bye week is coming up after this week. It's a great time for them to reassess everything. They're getting Nick Boyle back. Everything's going to be changing. They got to see Brandon Stevens without Deshaun Elliott.
Yeah.
They got to see all these guys actually start to play. They get to see a sneak peek of Bateman. They get to see Devin Duvernay and James Prochet, how they've started the season. I like having the early bye week this week. It's going to be very exciting. And how you doing, Don C? Welcome into the stream. Dawson says you can tell Joker has been progressing in his cover skills on the interception. It looked like he baited Herbert to throw that ball to Cook. Exactly. Yes, he was ready for that. He studied the film and he knew they've been throwing that inside seam route. And so he was ready for that inside seam route, and he was able to get a big-time play for the Ravens defense. Now, unfortunately, Lamar Jackson didn't see the linebacker on the very next play and threw the pick right back, but we're not going to talk about that half of it.
Yeah, it's definitely good to see him, really hone into his skills. I mean, that's what we've been wanting. I've been on Deshaun Elliott's train ever since we brought the young man in because I see him during preseason games. I saw him get the picks. I saw him make the hits. But by the time regular season came, Deshaun Elliott out for the season because he's hurt. I said, oh man, come on, man. Not this soon. And not all this potential, But I definitely feel like, he comes in, he makes a statement. I don't know how things are gonna look, during this off season. If we don't resign him, I hope we get Jordan Battle. I know Jordan Battle is going to be a high profile guy, but
yeah, safety out of Alabama.
Yeah, he reminds me exactly like him.
Dude's a monster. I know. I will say though, the safety out of Notre Dame in this upcoming draft is going to be absolutely ridiculous. That dude is so good.
Oh yeah,
he's so good. I think right now he's like a projected top 5 pick at the safety position, which is so rare. But he may be the best prospect in this draft. And that's saying a lot because Caleb on Thibodeau is in this draft class, and he is an absolute freak on the defensive line. But Does anybody else have any other questions before we kind of wrap up this stream? If anybody's a basketball fan, Joshua and I at some point may have to start talking some basketball on some of these streams with you guys. I'm pretty good with the basketball predictions on this channel. Last time I made one was when the Bucks were down 0-2 in the NBA Finals. And I said, "Nah, Suns ain't winning no more."
Oh man, Suns and Nuggets play tonight.
Oh yeah.
Let me ask you, since we talked about basketball, Ben Simmons. What's the next move for him?
I think he's got to get traded, and unfortunately, I don't think he's a guy I would want. I do not like players that force their way out. I mean, he's very clearly, he compared himself to Giannis. He's very clearly not Giannis. Like, he's like, yeah, Giannis doesn't have a jumper. Giannis still shoots. Giannis still scores the ball. Ben Simmons doesn't want to take shots. And it's not even just 3-pointers. I don't care if he takes 3 points. You don't have to, I think Giannis Antetokounmpo is by far the best player in the NBA. I think he's an absolute monster. However, he takes shots on the inside. Ben Simmons can take layups. He outsizes every guy he goes against because he's guarded by point guards half the time. Like, post up, get inside, and make some layups. And he just refuses to do it. And then he gets all mad when his team is just like, hey, we're going to build around Joel Embiid because he's definitely better than you offensively and defensively. And he's like, ugh. And I saw that they had a scouting report from 5 years ago talking about how he's a guy where it's all about me on and off the court. If it doesn't get his way, he's going to be really stubborn. He's not going to do anything. He's not going to have motivation. And we're seeing that. And I don't think any team is going to want to trade for Ben Simmons because I don't think he makes any team a contender. Like, I don't know of a team where it would be like, oh man, if they got Ben Simmons, that'd be the team. The only team I could think of they wouldn't be able to pay him would be the Clippers, just because I feel like if they had a point guard, like a pass first point guard, they would be able to do it because they have Kawhi, they have Paul George. Now, Kawhi obviously injured. He'll be back, I want to say like January, February. Then it could work. And Simmons to the Lakers, they can't pay him. They just can't pay him. And Russell Westbrook's not getting traded to Philly.
Yes, Simmons to the Lakers. Hell no. That's not. No. Don't speak that over my team. Come on now. Honestly, he has to go overseas. And he might get cut from an overseas team. Overseas teams have better. They work better together. The court's small.
I don't know if they'd want him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, I think Damian Lillard said it. I think Damian Lillard said it in his past Olympics. Those guys that play for their country, they know how to play team ball, and it showed. And yeah, Ben wouldn't fit in it at all.
See some people saying Ben Simmons to the Wizards. I don't think he really fits in with the Wizards, and I don't think the Wizards want him because the Wizards need to rebuild. And I'm sorry, I'm assuming a lot of people in here are Wizards fans. But Bradley Beal's not going to be able to win a championship there. Now, I'm okay with him staying, but like they need to rebuild and bring in these new assets. And
I think the Kuzma move, I think Kuzma finally is going to be like Lonzo, Julius, and Jordan Clarkson. They finally get to play like themselves.
Yeah. And Brandon Ingram as well. I do think I drafted Kuzma in fantasy this year. I'm hoping he's able to step up. But yeah, it's just like I don't think anybody wants him. And so that's just something where it's kind of tough because I like Ben Simmons. I like watching him play, actually. I'm a fan of Ben Simmons. I like Joel Embiid. I love watching the Sixers.
Right.
But I mean, I feel like it could work with Ben Simmons on the Sixers, but he doesn't want to make it work.
And, know, with an attitude like that, you just with an attitude like that, with a person like that, you really can't build. It makes it hard. I mean, it's one thing to have a say so. I mean, Michael Jordan had a say so. I mean, granted, him and the GM, they didn't like each other, but still, Michael Jordan has so much pull in the room.
Yeah, and it's one thing to be Michael Jordan versus best player in the world, best player of all time, all winning championships. And then it's one thing to be Ben Simmons, who it's top 20 player in the NBA, top 5 defender, or top 5, or he's probably the best defender at his position. Like, one of the better passers. Like he's a good player, but it's not like he's LeBron. He's not KD. He's not Harden. Like he's not those guys. Honestly, he's not Embiid. If Embiid wanted something, I feel like the front office would give it to him because he is a superstar. Ben Simmons is a star. He's not a superstar.
Then
It's like if Mark Andrews came out and was like, Ravens, I'm sorry, you got to trade this guy. Ravens aren't going to listen to Mark Andrews. If Lamar came out and was like, Ravens, sorry, I don't want this guy on the team anymore. They're trading that guy for Lamar. They're not trading anybody for Mark Andrews.
Yeah, no, I believe that most definitely, bro. 100%. And man, it's a rough situation, man. But championship predictions, because I really feel like this year is a free for all almost.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna go. You know what? My favorite team to watch in the playoffs every year. Love watching them. I'm gonna go with the Utah Jazz in the West. I love Donovan Mitchell. Love Rudy Gobert. Big fan of those guys. I think they're probably I would say maybe the most well-built team in the NBA.
Okay.
And then in the East, now I would love to say the Hawks. The Hawks are my Eastern Conference team. I'm an OKC fan for anybody that doesn't know. So overall, they're not making the championship. So I liked last year. I had the Hawks as a 5 seed, winning in the first round. That happened. Then they got to the next round. But as much as I love KD and I love Giannis, I'm picking between the Bucks and the Nets. I'm gonna go with the Bucks, but I'm gonna say the Jazz win it. The Jazz win it over the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA Finals.
Okay.
I think Rudy Gobert has enough to stop Giannis, and Donovan Mitchell, mixed with all those other scoring options, is going to be able to put on a show. But I wouldn't be surprised if even like the Nuggets got in there. Obviously, the Lakers. They got LeBron. They could very well be there. I don't think it's Phoenix. I think they're a little bit overrated. But we'll see. What's your finals prediction?
I'm about to say, first of all, with Phoenix, we don't even know. I think DeAndre Ayton turned down the extension.
Yeah, he wants that Supermax contract. But
well, at least Michael got his pay. At least Michael got paid. That's my boy. I wish if he was to go to like a team like the Bucks or even the Lakers, or hell, even the Bulls, I feel like that'd be a good situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
But out of the East, I actually got the Bulls going to the playoffs this year. I feel like the Bulls are going to go back to almost like that D Rose, Joakim Noah period. Having Lonzo, DeMar Rosen, those guys together. Hell, even Alex Caruso gives them a nice little breath of fresh air. And they still got what's his name? Allen, point guard out of UNC. Kobe.
Oh, Kobe White.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. Kobe White, Alex Caruso, Lonzo.
Yeah. I definitely see them making it to the playoffs, but I actually got Miami.
Okay. The return year, they brought in Kyle Lowry. I believe they also got PJ Tucker as well.
Yeah.
Good additions. Yeah.
I definitely like what they're doing. That Bam, Jimmy, and Kyle Lowry situation is definitely going to be a nice little situation. Outside the Lakers in the Western, I see the Nuggets possibly slipping in. But I'm definitely going with the old timers. I feel like Melo's going to be on this 20 clip per game situation. Russell's going to do what he do best, double digits. And when LeBron needs to really come in, LeBron is going to do what he has to do. I feel like this is maybe one of the best squads built around LeBron, especially in his 19 years stint, because he can relax more.
Yeah.
Especially having a monster like Russ, he's going to give you 30. He's going to give you 30, 15, and 10. So I definitely feel like it could be, a Lakers-Miami situation. I definitely see the Lakers win it.
Yeah. And RAW84 says Simmons to OKC for draft picks. I was on that train until OKC drafted Josh Giddey. I feel like Josh Giddey does exactly what Ben Simmons does, but he can actually shoot. Obviously, the defense isn't there, but he is very, very young. But final question we'll get into. Adeep Mahmood says, what are y'all thoughts on the remaining MLB playoffs? My team has been playing, and since they're the only likable team remaining, I'm rooting for the Braves. Welcome to the Braves country. The only likable team, Joshua. We got the cheaters. out in Houston. Okay. We got the Red Sox. Come on. It's the Red Sox. And then we got the overrated Dodgers who, overrated Dodgers shouldn't have even won against San Francisco. They got a lucky check swing, no call. Braves are the only, if you guys don't know, I'm a Braves fan. Joshua's a Dodgers fan. So
Mookie Betts, come on. Oh man, you know what? It's definitely interesting. And I haven't really been watching baseball like that. I used to be an Orioles fan growing up. I used to be the Miguel Tejadas, Jim Mora, Adam Jones, Chris Davis. Those used to be my guys growing up. But now, I fell in love with Sean with Kemp, and when we had Puig, those guys. So. And then plus the Dodgers opened it up for, the Negro player with Jackie Robinson being the first one, to break the color barrier. So, there's a lot of history behind that team. So I definitely, I like what they're doing. The Dodgers are that comeback team, whether, whether guys like it or not. So, it's 2-1. We're going to see how it goes for the rest of the series.
Absolutely. And just kind of a heads up, Eddie Rosario just hit a home run to take the lead for the Atlanta Braves. So just kidding. I'm an Atlanta fan. They blow every lead, okay? No matter what sport, they be blowing leads, all right? So I can't really celebrate in about a second inning home run. But I feel like that's a good spot to wrap it up. Thanks, everybody, for joining the stream, asking questions, having a good time. We'll see all of you again next time.